This number leaves us with a total number of 2,770 active cases. When we say active cases, what does it mean? It means that the number of people that we are actually currently following up, that is exclude those who are recovered and those who have died, and that gives us about 2,770. There are still a number of people who may have left the country, so there are lots to follow up, and people who are also not being being reached. In terms of the cases recorded since the last update, 248 had come from Greater Accra, and that came from 20 districts instead of the 24 districts that was recorded in the last update. We have mainly from Accra Metro 48, Korle Klote 41, Ablekuma South, Ashaman 17. Ashaman has come down now, and this comes, as I said, 20 out of the 24 districts that reported cases in the last update. The rest of the country contributed about 124 new cases. Out of the total cases, the 3,091 cases identified, 944 has come from the routine surveillance. That is those presenting with symptoms at the various health facilities. At the last update, that number was 919. 2,032 have been identified through the enhanced contact tracing, and as usual, the quarantine cases still adds up about 115.
And on the 25th of April 2020, Ghana's COVID-19 positive cases spiked. This was due to a backlog of samples being tested at designated laboratories in the country.
Director General of the Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bidusa Kodia, says it is not likely that the country will record another huge jump in the positive cases since almost all the backlog samples collected have been cleared. He, however, cautioned that this does not mean that the country is out of the woods. The watchword, he says, is for everyone to adhere to the safety protocols against COVID-19.
People as early as possible, not waiting for them to develop signs and symptoms. The first sample taken on the 10th of March. The results came on the 12th. There was a build-up till getting to the end of April, and then we have been coming down gradually. That is what we meant being picked. This is not saying that Ghana is off the hook yet. The odds are not over, and the woes are not off. To sustain this and further come down, we need to adhere to all the various preventive etiquettes that have been spelled out quite a number of times here.
In order to make this more efficient and transparent, the team as well as the board decided to work on a technology portal where applications can be processed and where applications would go to. We are also considering, and with engagements that we've had in the past weeks, to align very closely with those who might not have access to technology in some of the districts across the country, so that we do not exclude anybody from accessing and to apply for this facility. Currently, we are stress testing the portal to ensure that on the day when it is launched, when there's a rush or when there are a lot of people, it does not disappoint any of us. Once the stress test is done, we will continue in the coming weeks to engage with various stakeholders so that they can start educating the population, and we'll start the communication as well so that more people know about it and can apply for it.
That was rather Executive Director of the National Board for Small Scale Industries, NBSSI, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, speaking on the NBSSI COVID-19 stimulus package.
At a 3-day cabinet retreat, which starts today, members of cabinet will examine data gathered on the projected effect of COVID-19 on Ghana's economy. Minister for Information, Mr. Kojo Pong Nkrumah, says reports by sector ministers on the impact of the disease on their various ministries are also on the agenda.
Now, about 8 weeks into the pandemic here in Ghana, and as we get closer to mid-year, the government of Ghana has actual data on the real impact of COVID-19 across various sectors: education, health, the economy, trade, the legal front, several other areas. The President has instructed all ministers to report on the impact across their sectors and proffer recommendations for recovery. At a cabinet retreat that is starting later today and will go on for the next 3 days, the government of Ghana will examine the observed impact, the recommendations that are being made, the implications, and will commence preparations for laying same before Parliament during the mid-year review.
The Upper East region has recorded 7 additional COVID-19 cases, bringing the total number of cases in the region to 26. Meanwhile, 2 more COVID-19 patients have been treated and discharged, which means the total number of patients discharged is now 3.
That information making the rounds is that the Regional Health Directorate and the Regional Hospital at Bokatanka have been hesitant in releasing updates of the transmission rate in the region. We spoke to our Upper East Regional correspondent Samuel Ayama in an earlier interview.
We all efforts made to get this confirmation from the Regional Health Directorate and the Regional Hospital through filter until this morning that we got to know that these 7 additional infected persons are also coming from the region. The rumors that was making rounds, or the information that we were hearing, that some junior police officers have been infected by the virus. So this is something the people in the region are not really happy about, because the issues are not being handled well from the regional hospital where the treatment center is, and that of the Regional Health Directorate. So timely information released to the media and the general public has been an issue since the incident happened. We really started recording COVID-19 cases here in the region.
Upper East Regional Correspondent Samuel Ayama. Back in Accra, the minority in Parliament is questioning the government's plan of action to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
Speaking to the media in Parliament, the minority leader, Mr. Haruna Iddrisu, said the delay in enforcing the lockdown, its premature lifting and not prioritizing testing are contributing to the sharp increase in positive cases.
The minority said the government was slow in closing the country's borders and also did not heed advice and suggestions from various quarters, including medical experts and the NDC, resulting in a worrying increase in COVID-19 cases.
Couldn't we have locked down much more earlier as a country, knowing the threat? Couldn't we have closed our borders much more earlier? Couldn't we have started massive public education in local languages? Couldn't we have developed our own humanitarian response plan earlier as a country if the President's approach in dealing with this threat was one which was national in character and national in form in dealing with it? We should have had a comprehensive strategic plan in place earlier, a document we have requested without success, making us wonder if there was one. We lost the opportunity to do all this and many more because President Nana Addo Dankwa, in our view, did not prioritize combating this virus as his #1 concern.
Mr. Haruna Iddrisu said it is unfortunate that the government has downplayed the sharp rise in reported COVID-19 cases.
I refer to a recent statement by a member of the National Response Team that we have picked in terms of the number of infected persons. It appears to be part of a strategy to create an atmosphere of normalcy and then lead to the next presidential broadcast. Evidently, President Nana Addo Dankwa seemed more interested in his re-election bid and consolidating his hold on power than protecting the lives of Ghanaians.
He also asked the government to institute an audit into all donations and funds received to support the fight against the pandemic. He also asked that enough safety equipment are made available to all health workers across the country.
Our healthcare workers cannot face the weeks ahead unequipped and unprotected. Personal protection equipment must be made available adequately and in sufficient quantities across the country to all health professionals in order that we'll get this process going.
The minority said government must change its strategic plan in dealing with the pandemic. They also asked government to make available free masks to vulnerable Ghanaians to protect them against the virus.
It's the news from GBC News in Accra.
We'll be right back.
Introducing Nestle Milo All-in-One Nutrimix. The goodness of malt, milk and cocoa in Milo, and even more milk. Just add to water and enjoy the perfect cup of winning energy. Milo! This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
This is a public service announcement. To protect yourself from COVID-19, follow these steps. 1. Regularly and thoroughly wash your hands with soap and running water, or clean your hands with alcohol-based hand sanitizers. 2. Maintain at least 1 meter or 3 feet distance between yourself and anyone. 3. Avoid handshaking. 4. Avoid touching eyes, nose and mouth. 5. Cover your nose and your mouth with a tissue when coughing or sneezing. In the absence of a tissue, cover your mouth and nose with your bent elbow. Call these lines for assistance in case of persistent cough or fever. 055-2222-004. This public service announcement is brought to you by Lily. Lily, tasty food, happy family.
If I want send money, I want to withdraw. Pay light bill with 422. Send me a shopping now. If I want send money, I want to withdraw. Pay water bill with 422. Send me a shopping now. There's
a faster and more reliable way to do mobile money. G Money. Visit your nearest GCB branch or any branded G Money agent with a valid national ID to register now. G Money. Papa Naba.
Welcome back. The Ghana Education Service is fumigating all senior high schools in the central region. It is to get the various campuses safe before the students return to school.
3 senior high schools in the central region are being fumigated. The Ghana Education Service says it is taking advantage of the closure of schools to fumigate the various campuses. At the Agro Memorial Senior High School, dormitories, auditoriums, teachers' quarters, classrooms and the canteen were all fumigated. The news team followed the Zoom Lion team to the Edinaman, Iguafo Abrim, Komenda, Brakwa, Besiase and Nyakrum Senior High Schools, where similar exercises were undertaken. The Chief Corporate Communications Officer of Jospon Group, Madame Sofa Lisa, said the chemical being used is not only effective for getting rid of bed bugs, but also for other insects and pest infestations. Authorities of the various senior high schools were certain that the schools were safe for the return of the students to school.
The chairman of the Council of State and paramount chief of Asante Drabin, Nana Otu Sribo, has donated essential medical supplies to the Drabin Government Hospital.
This is his personal contribution to the national effort to curb the spreading coronavirus.
donated and valued at 50,000 cedis included gallons of hand sanitizers, examination gloves, hand towels, tissues and face masks. The Achiamehene of the Dwabin Traditional Council, Nane J. Champong, who made the presentation on behalf of Nana Otu Suribo, said the council is supporting with these critical items. The registrar at the Dwabin Traditional Council, Mr. Kweku Ankuma Sari, appealed to the public, particularly residents of Dwabin, to continue to observe the safety protocols at all times. The medical superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Kofi Bua Bosk Hamilton, commended the paramount chief and the entire traditional council for their kind thought, which will complement the safety measures in place at the hospital to protect its staff and patients from being infected by the novel virus. He said since the outbreak of COVID-19, the hospital has recorded 10 suspected cases, and after tests at CSIR, all had proved negative.
And on Thursday in Accra, the COVID-19 National Trust Fund received 4 more donations to support the vulnerable and needy.
Nate was the University of Ghana MBA MPA class of 2000. Led by the leader of the class, Mr. Daniel Mensah, they supported the fund with 20,000 Ghana cedis. The president of Greda, Mr. Patrick Ebobomfo, was also at the head of a team from his construction firm to donate 100,000 cedis to support the national effort. Mr. Frank Boama and his construction firm, Bafla Limited, presented 50,000 cedis to the trust fund. Also at the COVID-19 Trust Fund office at the Jubilee House was the wife of the Ochehene, Nana Asabia Oforiata. She presented 100,000 Ghana cedis on behalf of the Ochehene, Nana Amweti Oforipenin, to the Trust Fund. The chairperson for the COVID-19 National Trust Fund Board, Justice Sophia Kufu, thanked all for their contributions and also on behalf of the beneficiaries.
The Wa Area Church of Pentecost in the Upper West region has presented items worth 6,000 Ghana cedis to the regional hospital to help in the fight against COVID-19.
The items included bottled water, gloves, N95 respirator, hand sanitizer, surgical face mask and face shields. Presenting the items to the hospital authorities, the Wa area head of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Daniel Taki, said the church has already released information vans to communities in the region to educate people on the need to protect themselves against the coronavirus. He said the donation was therefore to complement the hospital's efforts in the fight against the disease. A deputy director of pharmaceutical services at the hospital, Mr. Daniel Ekwam, who received the items, thanked the church for the gesture. Mr. Ekwam said the hospital is doing its best to provide the health needs of the people in spite of the challenges. He assured the church that the items would be put to good use.
The Ghana Young Men's Christian Association YMCA, through the Christian Council and in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, has distributed food items to some 5,000 households, individuals and non-profit organizations to ease the economic and social pressure on them.
Food items including rice, gari, beans, cooking oil, canned tomato paste, eggs and canned fish were distributed to some 4,000 families and homes from Adabraka, Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange area, Asylum Down, parts of Nima and Osu, all in Accra. 7 non-profit organizations under the Ghana Association of Elders, including the Narrow Aged Care, Jamestown Afiana, 50 and Counting Club and Act Lifestyle Foundation also received some items. Some 1,300 members of these organizations benefited. Director of the Center for Aging Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Mante Colley said the Ghana Association of the Elders largely depends on donations to help support the aged who have little or no means of livelihood. Professor Colley was grateful to the Ghana Young Men's Christian Association YMCA for their benevolence. On his part, the director of the Accra Rehabilitation Center, who took delivery of 100 bags of assorted food items on behalf of the center, extended gratitude to the Ghana YMCA and government for supporting the Accra Rehabilitation Center at such a critical time. The executive director of the Ghana Young Men's Christian Association YMCA, Mr. Kwabena Ketia Adai, lauded government's decision to partner faith-based organization at this time. Mr. Adai said YMCA has put in place a special fundraiser drive dubbed Lend a Hand to help raise funds to feed more people and also to purchase protective equipment for front-line workers.
And in Abrengo, Lions Club International Foundation Ghana has donated relief items valued at 68,000 Ghana cedis to 300 households in 3 districts within the Upper East region.
The districts include Bulsa South, Bulsa North and the Kasina Nankana municipality. The beneficiaries were hard hit by floods last year.
Between 6th and 12 October 2019, there was a heavy rainfall that damaged houses and rendered many people homeless in the Upper East region. According to NADMO, torrential rains in the region at the time claimed 19 lives and injured 46 and displaced 26,698 residents, comprising 15,431 adults and 11,267 children in all the 15 districts and municipalities in the region. A total of 6,142 houses were affected. 2,222 of such houses crumbled and 3,920 partially collapsed. A total of 116 communities from 13 districts were adversely affected by the floods. A total of 15,206 hectares of farmlands were also affected. It is against this backdrop that the Lions Club International Foundation Ghana donated the relief items to flood victims. The items included bags of rice, millet, maize, beans, gallons of cooking oil, baths of key soap, and sleeping mats. Speaking to GBC News, the coordinator of the Ghana branch of the Lions Club International Foundation, Lion Abi Adachi, said the primary objective of the club is to serve humanity. The MCE for Kasina Nankana, Mr. William Edum, commended the foundation for the support and said this is the first time the flood victims had received any such support since the disaster in 2019. On behalf of the beneficiaries, Madame Apewe Aliu Apelabia thanked the Lions Club International Foundation for the gesture. The club exists to, among other things, encourage peace and promote international understanding.
The former Ambassador's Wives Association FAWA has donated items to the Princess Mary Louise Hospital in Accra.
The association also donated 5,000 Ghana cedis towards the surgery on a 3-year-old girl who has a brain tumor.
In 2019, the former Ambassador's Wives Association adapted the surgical therapy ward of the Princess Mary Louise Hospital. They presented 2 nebulizers and 1 43-inch television. The president of the association, Mrs. Beatrice Abe, said the association will help provide for the basic needs of babies right after birth. In response to an appeal by the hospital, the association also donated 500,000 cedis towards the surgery of a 3-year-old girl who has a brain tumor. The medical superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Mamiya Nyaku, was grateful for the items for the newborn babies and their caregivers. She appealed to other organizations to emulate the gesture. The former Ambassador's Wives Association, FAWA, was formed in 1996 and has since made annual donations to the Princess Marie Louise Hospital in Accra.
Science is a broad subject, and some students fear the subject while others know the secret of understanding science.
Understanding of science requires specialized knowledge or interest. Because of this, the printing of scientific textbooks is also done by only a few institutions. The following report, our colleague Napoleon Atukito walks us through the printing of textbooks by the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR.
Owing to the specialized nature of science, the widely opened doors to the field are entered by a few. Communication of scientific knowledge is esoteric and fully comprehended by only industry practitioners. The CSIR Institute of Scientific and Technological Information, INSTI, is the reservoir of research material generated by 12 other institutes of the Council. It then relays and tracks uptake of CSIR research material by end users.
Our work is to take delivery of these, the knowledge generated, package it and make sure this knowledge gets to the people who need it. I mean, basically the research is to facilitate development of the country.
Research is no use if it becomes a candle under the bushel. So CSIR INSTI has mapped guidelines by which information on science could be assessed. The director of CSIR INSTI, Dr. Setmantio, and the director of CSIR Science and Technological Policy Research Institute, STEPRI, Dr. Wilhelmina Kwe, say CSIR materials are made to impact systems.
We have two flagship journals. One is the Journal of Agricultural Science. Then the other one is the Journal of Science. Now all these journals are online. So usually when you want to access information, it only provides you the abstracts. I mean, you need to register and get some accreditation before you can get the full paper.
We are coming from the concept where we think we cannot just be in our laboratories and do research. It ought to be research with the people. So when other institutes have their laboratories and their farms, for example, crop research, we have people to deal with. We have people to engage. So we do a lot of consultation. We do a lot of engagement with stakeholders in the science, technology, and industry ecosystem to make sure that the technologies we developed are developed with the people. It's response to the needs of the people.
CSIR INSTI also operates a printing house patronized by academic institutions.
Science textbooks are very technical in nature, so when it comes to the publishing aspect of it, you need people with the right and expertise, and we have the relevant expertise to go into.
Codified scientific information of CSIR Ghana, managed by its institute called INSTI, is available in manual and digital formats. Napoleon Atukito reporting.
It is called Akantie by the Akan ethnic group in Ghana. In English, its common name is Grasscutter. It is also referred to as the greater cane rat.
Grasscutter meat is a delicacy in sub-Saharan Africa. The CSIR Animal Research Institute of Ghana has placed this rodent under observation at one of its field stations at Pokuase in the Greater Accra region. Another report by Napoleon Atukito.
Grasscutter belongs to the genus of rodents. They occur in forest savanna areas throughout humid and sub-humid areas in the Sahara. It is a semi-nocturnal animal, and they live in colonies of one male and several females. The animal burrows into the ground, but may also temporarily take shelter in the hollow made by other animals. Grasscutter meat is a delicacy in countries, cities, and rural diets, particularly in Africa. digested grass found in stomach of grasscutter makes delicious soups, they say. Cane rats can grow to nearly 60 centimeters or 2 feet in length and weigh a little less than 8.5 kilograms. It has rounded ears, a short nose and coarse bristly hair. Its 4 feet are smaller than its hind feet, each with 3 toes. This mammal attains sexual maturity at 6 months for males and 5 months for females. The average litter size is 4 in the wild, but up to 12 has been recorded in captivity. Birth in grasscutter is called parturition, and thus is imminent within 3 days when the expectant mother stands only on its hind legs, and it is a day away when the change in posture is combined with frequent looks at the lower abdomen. Pregnancy gestation takes up to 150 days. The CSIR Animal Research Institute of Ghana has placed the cane rodent under scrutiny at one of its field stations at Pukiase near Accra. The institute says it is willing to partner with corporate sponsors to expand grasscutter farms as a business and for supply to apprentice farmers. Research conducted on grasscutter by the CSIR Animal Research Institute looked into breeding or mating. It found the female grasscutter to be resistant to or obdurate at the new male introduced to it for mating. The experts found a way around it.
If you directly bring the male to the female, they fight till one dies. So how do we resolve that issue? We have to research into it, observe them for some time. So we designed a special cage. Before we mate them, the male is brought closer to the female. They will be there for a week, 2 or 3, so that they establish some kind of a relationship.
As had been told already, the grasscutter in the wild have a smaller litter size. The scientists have an explanation to this.
What happens is that they see that they don't have enough nutrients that can cater for about 8, 10 or 11 fetuses that they have developed. So they have to reabsorb they take some of the fetuses in, so that when they give birth to say 5 or 4, they can cater for that. They can have enough breast milk to feed those ones. Yes. So then we have to solve that issue. So we have to develop special feed which we give to the pregnant doe, so that it's able to have enough nutrients in the system, so that the issue of reabsorbing about 40% of its fetuses will be resolved.
To emphasize his point, it is to say that the grasscutter loses some of its fetus in its belly as it reabsorbs for nutrition. When domesticated, the animal is given nutritional supplements which renders reabsorption needless, hence the larger litter size when in captivity.
Farmers in Ghana were feeding only Panicum maximum and elephant grass, which was not helping the animals enough, because grasses at the onset of rains contain about 10% protein, and during the lean season it goes down up to 3%, which cannot support the optimum growth of the grasscutter. So this research station has to take it upon itself to find various feeds that can help to increase production or growth rate of the animals.
There will be slight difference in taste of meat depending whether the animal is in captivity or in the wild. The scientists are yet to know the full range of herbs consumed in the wild by grasscutter. That influences taste of meat and hardness of bone just slightly. The scientists of the CSIR Animal Research Institute have managed to break the jinx surrounding the sex of the grasscutter. It took meticulous observation to arrive at distinctive factors.
We have what is called the anogenital distance. This is the distance between the anus and then the male or the female organ. If we take 2 grasscutters of the same age, the distance between the anus and then the penis of the male is twice that of the female. So let's assume that the grasscutter, the male has 2 millimeters distance between the anus and then the genital organ. The female will be 4 millimeters. So this also helps us to identify or distinguish between the male and the female.
The combination of cheap feed and fast maturation makes Grasscutter profitable for those raising the rodent for market purposes. Another reason is that they are efficient converters of wide range of vegetables and grass into meat. The Grasscutter is also top of the chart of delicacy meats, at least for the African domiciled in the Sub-Sahara. Now,
we love Africa.
Sure, Africa Grasscutter.
We'll be right back.
It's GTP,
the name behind authentic and original Ghanaian textile prints,
and West Africa's leading print and textile brand.
Step out in style in any GTP fabric.
Classy, head-turning, elegant, snazzy.
GBC newscasters are cloaked by GTP.
The outfits are designed by Joanna Fashions, Nyaniba Estates, B Vogue and Designs, Kaswa,
and Alan David Collections, Havana in Accra.
The goodness of malt, milk and cocoa in Milo, and even more milk. Just add to water and enjoy the perfect cup of winning energy. Milo! Milo! This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Our culture does not support rape. Neither does it support partner abuse or violence. So I like to encourage all of you, especially this time that we are staying at home, that if you're going through any gender-based violence, any problem at all at home, you are just a call away from being saved. Remember, DOFSU is there. DOFSU's number is 055-1900. You do not have to stay home and go through any gender-based violence, especially our adolescent girls. Remember, if you are having any gender-based violence issues or anybody is worrying you at home, call DOFSU 055-1900. In these days that we are all being encouraged to stay at home, you have to enjoy your home. You have to enjoy your family. This is the time we have to give the best of time to our children, our spouses, and everybody that is around us. Let's take this time to nourish everybody. Gender-based violence is not acceptable in any community. Neither would we accept it in Ghana. Please call DOFSU if you have any problem. My name is Obapa Joancha, Nana Hima Ajwa Awendo, Obapa Development Foundation, and Nkosuo Hima of Efija Kwabri.
This message is brought to you by the United Nations Systems in Ghana, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOFSU, of the Ghana Police.
Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us for the business segment of News Hour live on GBC News, and I am Dorothy Ajimai. The West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, operator of the West African Gas Pipeline, has announced that it will undertake a coordinated and planned 10-hour shutdown of its thermoregulating and metering station RMS to complete outstanding works under the Takrady Tema Interconnection Project, TTIP.
The shutdown, which will take place on Sunday,